We are live! Yay! So funny.
Woohoo!
Woo-woo-woo. It's like when technology does its thing, it's always very exciting. And this is one stream is new for me. Not necessarily new, but I'm trying new features all the time. And anyway, very excited to get going. Kimberly, happy to have you on here. I'm going to let you pronounce your last name because I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it. So tell me your full name and then we'll jump in. I love the topic of today because I think a lot of people don't realize the beauty benefit and like absolute need for doing what you're talking about. So Kimberly, introduce yourself and then we'll hop in.
Awesome. So can I just say kudos for knowing that it's like, I might say that wrong. I'm just going to
Asked
ask.
before.
I know, right? I always like to ask too, because I'm like, I'm just going to double check. Is your name this way? And they're like, but it's like Sarah. And I was like, you'd be surprised.
Yes,
just let me know.
Would be surprised. Exactly.
So Kimberly Weitkamp, white like the color,
how I
camp
was
like
gonna
summer
say it.
camp.
Weitkamp. Okay. So Kimberly,
And
tell us
we're
a
here to
little
talk
bit about
lead
yourself.
magnets.
Sorry, we're talking on top of each other. I think there's a delay. It's probably my end because mine's always slow. All right, tell me a little bit about yourself and then we'll jump into lead magnets. I love this topic. I think it's one of the absolute best topics. But first, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, how you got started.
All right. So I work with coaches who are wanting the right next step to take to grow and scale their businesses. I know all things marketing, strategy, and putting it in place so you don't go crazy and it actually fits into your schedule and does what you want it to do. I got started. I can't believe this, like 9 years ago. I just kind of stumbled into the world of online marketing and copywriting, actually, and did done for you copy for a number of years, did launches, campaigns, all the stuff behind the scenes, and realized a lot of people were doing all the things but didn't have a plan to make it actually work for them. So I made that transition to helping and training with the strategy side of things a couple of years ago, and it's a lot more fun, and I get to showcase to people how they can actually harness their own genius, put it into their marketing, and build the business they want.
I love it. I love it. So pretty much we have the same kind of audience, the same sort of stuff that we do for our audience, which is really fun and a great way to be able to collaborate and bring in new audiences. So I love that we're both on that same page with that. And I think that it's good for a lot of newer coaches to see that two coaches that do, very similar things can get together and do something together, because when you're first starting off, I think a lot of coaches, and you've probably encountered this a lot too. I started probably 15 years ago, and a lot of the newer coaches have that fear, like somebody is going to, take their clients or something. And over the years, I've noticed for myself, even I've had several coaches at the same time. I follow several people that do the same thing always. I'm always like that. But there's just so much out in the world, and there's, different angles to everything, different personalities, different stages, different everything. So I do think it's really important for coaches, since that's both of our audience, for them to realize more than anything that collaboration is everything. There's enough space and there's enough room for all of us. So jump in. Don't be afraid to collaborate. I just saw an article about that this morning, about how people don't really like to collaborate. I'm like, what? It's so much more fun. It is just so much more fun.
It's so much more fun, and I'm a big believer in collaboration over competition. It's no fun to be like, oh my gosh, that person's gonna try and steal from me, and instead think of, oh wow, how can we work together? Because this person's awesome, I'm awesome, other people are awesome, and what it comes down to, right, is that just because you cover the exact same topic and the exact same thing and work with the exact same people, not all of us are fit for everybody, and that's great, because there are people who are a fit for us. And it's so important as well for us to be ourselves and put ourselves into it. And instead of thinking of, oh, well, this is how this person did it, so how can I steal that idea and then figure out how to make it work for me? And instead be, well, that person did it awesome for them. Let's see how I can do something similar, or use the same idea, or, I'm thinking in terms of marketing, right? So many people are like, oh, well, it worked for that person. Why doesn't it work for me? And it's like, well, because that person is them. and you need to be
Exactly.
you. And that's the important piece of the puzzle. And why people want to work with you is because they like you. They like you. They like who you are. They like the way you talk about things. And definitely a big believer in collaboration over competition.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted to explain that in case anybody was wondering, like, why are we both on here? All right. So, and people explain things differently. I mean, I studied education for years too. And in education, there's so many different ways. And I know in your business, you do a lot of different things in your business as well. But even with lead magnets, there's a lot of different ways that you can present a lead magnet. There's a lot of different ways that you can present information. So people take it in and they don't just take it in one time. So, hence marketing and repetition. All right, Gail, tell us a little bit about lead magnets and how you think that we can get the best next client with our lead magnets.
Absolutely. So, lead magnets first, I want to do a little vocabulary lesson, make sure we're all on the same page here. In the world of marketing, it's super simple to kind of fall into those, oh, well, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Or, everyone knows this particular definition. And I've just run into that challenge so many times where people are saying something and I'm like, oh, you mean this? Because that's what I call it. And it's a different thing, right? So lead magnets for everyone listening. It's pretty simple. It's a reason for people to get onto your list. It's an invitation to say, hey, if you're interested in this thing, why don't you join my world and learn a little bit more about it? A lead magnet is not your entire philosophy. It's not your entire methodology. It's not your life story. It's not everything you ever learned and forgot about your specialty. Instead, it's a short little bit that's essentially working as an invite to say, hey, I've got a cool thing. And if you want to learn more from me in particular, you should come and grab it and join my world. And that really ties into the key of how to really use a lead magnet, is to think of it in terms of, well, these are people who don't know me. They don't know what I do. They don't know my method. They don't know my solution, but they have a problem. So if there's a problem that I can help them solve, that's the perspective you want to come at it from when talking about creating a lead magnet. So I like talking about lead magnets in terms of invitations to join our world, because you don't have to, right? If this thing is right for you right now, then come and join the party. But if it's not, that's okay too. And then that also kind of helps people reframe a lot, that marketing is an invitation. It's a way for you to share knowledge. It's a way for you to help your people and help them decide if you're the right person to help them fix their problems.
I love that. So this morning in my email, I was talking about how I hate sales. And it's like, at the same time, why I love marketing so much. And a lead magnet is such a great example of kind of how you are attracting people to you rather than shoving something down their throats, which is, I don't want to say that's sales because it's not, but like the sleazy version of sales is shoving something down their throats. So lead magnet kind of attracts them, and you can call them out. You said you did copywriting. So copywriting is really an amazing part of what you're doing if you're using lead magnet or if you're using anything else, because you can sort of target certain people by how you're saying what you're saying, or what you're saying, how you're saying, whichever one.
Absolutely. And when it comes to creating a lead magnet, copywriting is the words, but it's more than the words, right? It's all the stuff behind the scenes. It's all the strategy. It's all of the ideas that go into creating that. And the key part is, well, who are you really talking to? So I've lost track of the number of people I talk with who are like, yeah, I have a lead magnet. And the reason I like the term lead magnet versus other phrases like freebie, free gift, or ethical bribe is because of how I think of how to use a lead magnet. A lead magnet attracts your leads and it repels everybody else, right? Attract your leads, repel everybody else. You're not bribing people. You're not giving them something and then completely switching on the back end what you actually do, right? There's no bait and switch with a lead magnet, because it is related to what it is that you serve people for. So, the first step to creating that lead magnet that's going to attract your next best client is really sitting down and deciding, well, who is my next best client? Who do I really want to work with? Often people will say, oh, I've done that. I know that. I want to work with women over 50. Okay. So you have described literally hundreds of millions of people around the world. Let's try and, narrow that down a little bit, because there's a lot of variety. You have women over 50 who have children under 10. You have women over 50 who are grandparents. You have women over 50 who don't have children. You have women over 50 who are super focused in on their corporate life and, becoming the next CEO of their business. You have people who are already there. You have people who started and were an entrepreneur. So that's a lot of people. And they're all asking different questions. They all have different challenges. So when it comes to creating your lead magnet, the first most important thing you need to do is really sit down and decide for yourself, because as an entrepreneur and as a coach, you get to decide who you work with, nobody else, is, okay, who are those people I want to work with? You know what? I really want to help people. One of my easy examples to go to is, losing weight, right? Lots of different ways to lose weight: diet, exercise, supplements, programs, coaching, nutritionists, going to so many different ways to lose weight, right? But if you're somebody who focuses on keto, for example, if you put out a lead magnet about the top 5 keto recipes you need to lose 10 pounds in the next 2 months, you're assuming a lot of things, like the person has already chosen keto, they know what it is, they know how it works, they know how to use it, and they're at the point where they're already making food for it, but they just need to know some fun recipes. But most of the time, that's like 3% of your audience. You've got a whole bunch more people. So instead of starting there, you want to start with, well, what is the challenge? Well, these are women over 50 who are struggling with losing weight, for example. Great.
Hold on. Let's unpack what you just said. I love that, because
I tend to ramble.
So in what you just said, just to make it a little bit clear, or just to recap it, I guess, is that in your lead magnet, you don't necessarily want to be so lasered in, because that 3% is the buyers, right? Those are the 3% that are ready today. And what you're saying is maybe go out just a little bit from that, or even a lot from that, but still more narrowed in on your audience, on your perfect audience, and get a little bit more general, so that you kind of catch them in your web. They're now in your world, and they can kind of get a little bit more information from you.
Absolutely.
That's important to say, because at that, if you go so zeroed in, it's okay to get so zeroed in when you want somebody to buy something. But your lead magnet is not necessarily for them to buy. It's for them to be in your world, which is a little bit more
100% that, to be in your world. And oftentimes we think of it in terms of, well, I'm looking for the people to buy. And you can guide people to a buying decision within a lead magnet and a couple of emails. That's not out of the question. But if you only focus on the 3%, you're forgetting the 65% of people who know they have a problem and don't know how to fix it, and are more likely to be looking for something like a lead magnet, right? Oftentimes, if somebody's in the buying stage, they're like, give me a button, I'm going to push it. They've probably already got people in their world, have already been following people, have chosen the method they want to use. They know exactly what they're looking for. So you're not even going to capture that many of them, because they already have other people they're looking at. Whereas if you talk to people who are at, we have something in marketing called the stages of awareness. So unaware is people who don't know they have a problem. I personally don't try and market to those, because convincing someone they have a problem is long and tedious, right? But then you have the people who are problem aware.
Like the Elon Musks of the world.
Right? I mean, come on. These are people who are problem aware. I have a problem. Don't know how to fix it. I want answers on how to fix it. Then you have people who are solution aware. I know I have a problem, and I know there's lots of solutions, and now I'm comparing the different solutions, right? For example, your problem is losing weight. Great. All right. So solution number 1 is to change your diet. Solution number 2 is to change exercise. Solution number 3 is to consider surgery, for example. All right. So now I'm going to compare those solutions. And then you have people who move into product aware. They've chosen their solution, and now they're looking at the different products. If they said, you know what, I want to change the way I eat. Well, there's keto, there's paleo, there's restricted, there's, all these different kinds of things. So now they're looking at which method, which product is the best fit. And then most aware is people who are like, okay, I've chosen my solution, I've chosen my product. Now I just need to choose the buy button. So if we only talk to people at the buy button, we're missing all those people who are earlier, who just know they have a problem and are looking for help.
And so the lead magnet captures all the rest of those, right?
Absolutely. So if you aim at that product or solution aware group of people, you expand who you're talking to, but you're also a lot more likely to guide those people to buying from you because they get a chance to get to know you and decide for themselves, is this the right thing? So, first step to lead magnets that turn into clients versus just into a long list of email addresses is really deciding who that person is. Who is it I really do want to work with? If you say anyone over 50, that's going to get you a lot of variety, and you're not going to be able to really speak to those people directly because there's just so many different types. But if you say, you know what, I'm looking for, people who, women over 50 who don't have any kids, they're empty nesters, they've got a little bit more free time, and they're still really happy at work, but they work, 40 to 60 hours a week, so they don't have a lot of free time, and they're looking for solutions to change their life and change their weight, for example.
So the key is to figure out to focus on the problem, not necessarily so much the person. I mean, the person with the problem, I guess.
The person with the problem, first,
combined.
Who do I want to work with? Who don't I want to work with? Because you don't want to attract those people. And then once you know the people you want to work with, great. What is the problem they're struggling with? Not what are they searching for solutions for, because they may not know about the solutions. Instead, Think of it in terms of, what are the problems?
I love it. All right. So what's the next step?
So once you've got your audience, right? You're clear, you've clarified on who you're talking to and what their problems are. Now it's time to connect with them. So not necessarily before creating a lead magnet, but in terms of how to use it and how to leverage it, where are you going to connect with these people? Are you going to put it on social media? Are you going to direct them to a website? Are you going to participate in a giveaway, right? Giveaways are fantastic. I love them. So once you've figured out that, then you can decide what's the best method, right? So once you know where you want to connect, like, I'm going to share it on social. Great. Easy way to share it on social is to talk about it, drop a link, and then take them to a landing page, for example. Awesome. So once you've connected with them, now it's time to cultivate them, which means, I raised my hand and said, you know what, I think that's interesting. Now I need to know if it's right for me. And that's where you create a really solid landing page and a really solid lead magnet itself. And of course, have a plan and have emails that follow up to make sure they use the gift, to make sure they don't have any questions, and to tell them what's next, right? Too often, and that of course leads to conversion, too often we don't tell people what the next step is. We just like, isn't it awesome? They're like, wow, that was great. That was fantastic. But I don't know what this person does. I don't know what this person has to offer. I don't know how to work with them. I'll get the question all the time. Well, how soon can you, make an offer? How soon can you ask them to do something? And for me, conversion means taking the action you want them to take. So if the action you want them to take is to then join your Facebook group, that's your conversion point. If it's to go listen to your podcast, that's a conversion point. If it's to go check out a landing page, that's a conversion point. If it's to go buy a low ticket item, that's your conversion point. But not all conversions are sales.
Hold on. So I love that. So because we're both strategists, I think this is a huge part that people totally leave out.
Yes.
When you are creating your lead magnet, can you talk a little bit more about strategy? Like, what's the strategy that kind of the connection to?
Absolutely.
You talked about the lead magnet, the emails, like where are we going with that?
Oh, yeah. So first, right, you have to create a really solid lead magnet. And I've got a gift for anyone watching at the end. It kind of breaks down what goes into a really solid lead magnet and what you need to have in it, right? But once you have that, they're on your world. They're in your world, right? They've joined your world. They've raised your hand and said, hey, I want to hear from you. And then I get this question all the time, or I get this concern all the time from people I speak with. And that's, well, I don't want to bother my list, so I'm afraid to email them. And I tell them, look, these are people who want a solution. They have a problem. They're looking for ways to fix their problem. They've given you their email address because they think you might have the answer to their problems. It's a disservice to not talk to them, because then you're not doing what you said you would do, which is that you said you would help them find a solution. So after the lead magnet, you want to have a couple of emails that tell them it's what I call a welcome series. Welcome them into your world, right? And what that looks like is let them know who you are, where you come from, who you serve, what it looks like to work with you, a little bit of information or extra resources. There's a lot of different information you can put into this, but basically it's a, hey, you're new in my world, so let me tell you a little bit about me and what I do and how I help people, so that you can keep that conversation going, right? Too often we have two things that happen. When we talk about marketing, you have a lot of people who talk about lead generation, how to get people onto your list, how to get people onto your list, how do you get people onto your list? And then we have a lot of people who talk about conversion, how to get them to buy, how to get them to buy, how to get them to buy. Most people, though, it's going to take anywhere between 30 days and 3 years to get to that buy choice. So in the middle, you want to cultivate them, right? That's what we talked about. Clarify, connect, cultivate, and then convert. So you want to have those emails already set up, already built, so that when people join your list, they have a nice welcome after getting a free gift from you. They have a nice welcome into your world.
And like, it's great. Like you were talking about the conversion. It doesn't have to be to buy something. It can be to get on a call with you, but you need to know where you want them to go and why, like what that lead magnet is kind of attached to. Like, why are you creating that particular lead magnet, and where you want them to go from there?
Absolutely. You need to know where to take people, right? A guide cannot guide anybody if they don't know where the end destination is.
Exactly. I love that. And I love that you're bringing in the whole email, I want to say marketing, but thread, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The whole
welcome series, talking to your people.
The series.
Do not have fear about emailing your list, because trust me, if you don't email your list, then they're going to forget about you, because right. I don't know about you, but my inbox has like 10,000 unread messages. So
exactly. Exactly. I was trying to drop the link into the thing, but because, as I mentioned, this is not my normal one, but I think where you dropped it is only coming to me and you, and I tried to do it to everybody, and it's not. So after this, just so everybody knows, we'll go back in and drop them underneath the videos. Wherever you're watching this, we will drop the link to her lead magnet.
About lead magnets.
About lead magnets.
A good one.
The lead magnet, about the guide for the lead magnets, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the key to any marketing strategy is know who you're talking to, know what you want to share with them, and know what the next step is. So for the lead magnet, the next step, of course, you want them to read the lead magnet. So, have or watch it or take the mini course or take the quiz, whatever it is that you choose to use as a lead magnet, right? So, have some support to make sure people can actually take advantage of it. And then, where do you want them to go from there? Too often I'll see lead magnets without any call to action or any way to get in touch. It'll just end and people are like, that was awesome. Now what do I do? I don't know. Well, now you tell them to go grab another resource or to go join a community or get on a call with you, whatever it looks like, but tell them what's next.
That's so funny. So I think one of the things that you just mentioned is a lot of times people will leave it with no way to get in touch. Make it super, super simple for them. If you send a PDF, make it clickable. Like if you're sending them to your calendar or your website or, your Facebook Messenger, wherever it is, make it clickable on the PDF so that they can just jump over there. You could write your that I guess is a little bit shorter if you didn't make it clickable. Write your phone number, have some way, but then make it super, super simple for them, as easy as possible. And it's funny because a lot of times people will remember to put their branding. Yes. Like I've got that little EL thing, or even if I put like my full logo, Erica Leary, business, whatever, if I put all of that, it still doesn't tell them how to get in touch with me. Nope. So don't just put your logo on there. Don't just put your branding and make it pretty. Be very thoughtful in how you're, intentional in how you're doing it so that they are moving through those next steps with you. I love that you mentioned that.
Yes. And we all have to know where we're going, right?
Exactly. And don't assume that everybody is going to get that lead magnet and consume it right away, because 9.9% out of 10 people probably will not. And that's where you were going with the whole series, is you need to remind them about it. You need to remind them that they asked for it, that who you are, why that you're sending it, all of that several times. And I think marketing in and of itself is about repetition, and people are afraid to repeat themselves. But look at your own inbox and figure out if you think you should repeat yourself.
Right. Look at your own inbox, but also just think about human nature, right? Oftentimes it takes people 12 to 15 times of hearing the same thing for it to finally click, for it to finally like go in their brain and be like, oh, that's what that means. So repetition is not a bad thing. And, as we've said, right, people get busy. We have things going on. We have every intention of using that thing. But it's also why you want to have some method of keeping in touch with them and letting them know more about what you do. Because even if they don't actually consume the lead magnet, they are on your list and they did ask to hear from you. So you want to be continuing the conversation with them, even if they only get through the first page, or even if they only get through the first video of your mini course or whatever that looks like, right? So don't assume everyone reaches the end, but also don't assume people don't want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned this at the beginning, but keep it short and simple. I mean, it should solve a quick mini problem, but you don't want to give them one of the problems with a lot of coaches, I think, and you've seen this, I'm sure, in your business, is that they want to make sure that they over deliver. But don't overwhelm when you over deliver. You can over deliver by fixing a problem that they've had, but in 5 minutes. I mean, that's still over delivering. So if you can make it as super simple, short as possible, you're actually doing them a favor rather than, sending them. And life is short and getting shorter. I think I read this morning that attention spans are like 8.2 seconds, which is why short videos and stuff are doing so well, obviously. But same goes for your lead magnets. So what are some types of lead magnets that you've used that you like or that you suggest for your clients? Like, what types of things do you suggest?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things to consider when choosing a type of lead magnet. Number one is, what does your audience resonate with, right? And number two is, what do you find easy to make? Because I'm never going to suggest to somebody, oh, you know what? You need to make a mini course, which is like 3 videos and a worksheet if you hate being on camera. Like, that's not going to work for you because you're, the fact that you don't want to be doing it, the fact that it's uncomfortable for you, or the fact that it's going to take you a lot of talking in your head to finally turn on that camera and start recording.
Process.
Right. It's not going to happen. Right. So the easiest thing for most people to do is a PDF download. And, even though it's called a guide, you want it to be short. Right. So my guide, I think, is about 5 pages, but they're worksheets. Right. So it's a breakdown of what goes in, and then there are exercises. So it's not 5 pages of things I have to read. Because again, you have to think about this in terms of where are people in that stage of awareness. Essentially, you're a stranger to them. They're not going to give you an hour of their time because they don't know if it's worth it. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't know a lot about you. So you want to be able to deliver that win within about 10 to 12 minutes.
I love that you just narrow that down. 10 to 12 minutes. That's a good
I mean, longer is maybe, shorter is a maybe, but essentially, like, can they consume it quickly and get a clear idea of what they should do next, right? So some people love video. They love video and they hate writing. Or they're not fond of, creating a pretty PDF, right? They don't like doing that part of it. So that's going to hold them back. But they can easily sit down in front of the camera, press record, and record 2 or 3 3-minute videos. Perfect. Do a video series then. That's all you need, right? Do a video series. You can put it on your website. Make them opt in, obviously, but then, go to video 1, go to video 2. It's super simple. Have a link that they can click to go watch those videos. So a couple of options. Number one is, as I said, just a simple PDF download. That could be a checklist. That could be a guide. That could be kind of like a series of worksheets, right? So there's a lot of different terms for it, but essentially it's a PDF. Another thing you can do is you can create a quiz. That will give you a lot of information about your people, but it's a lot more complex because then you have to create the answers essentially for anybody who takes the quiz. So let's say you have 3 answers. I go through this quiz and I get, I'm an A, I'm a B, I'm a C as to what I should do next. Then you have to create all of the stuff on the back end to answer those questions. But quizzes are great if you are looking to gather a lot of information about your leads and where they're at and like what their top problems are. Another thing you can do is, as I mentioned before, a mini course. So again, it doesn't have to be long and involved. I've got a mini course. I think each video is about 2 minutes. There's 5 of them, and there's a worksheet to go along with all 5 videos. So
and for the video haters, you could do a mini course in audio. You could do a mini email course, like a mini.
I have those too. I have a 5-day email challenge, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's awesome.
Yes, you don't have to be on camera to do a video course. You know, PowerPoint actually has an option now. You can like record it as a video. So make some slides and press record and go through your PowerPoint and voila, it captures your audio and you're done. Like, you know, there's all kinds of ways to make a video. Don't think that it has to be you on camera talking straight at it. That's a good point. Yeah, so mini courses, a plain video series, PDF downloads, a quiz, and as I mentioned also, you can do like a challenge or an email series. So the very first lead magnet I ever created is a 5-day email challenge about how to improve conversions on your website. Now, I don't use it anymore, but because that's not really what I focus on. But I mean, each day somebody got an email and it's like, day 1, here's what you need. Here's your information. Here's your action step. Day 2, here's your information. Here's your action step. Again, it's super simple to create. So there's so many different things you can choose.
Hang on. So you just said, I don't use it anymore because it's not what I focus on. Everybody pay attention. Do not make lead magnets because you think they're cool or they're pretty or they're, you know, amazing, but they have nothing to do with what you do. Don't do that. It needs to kind of segment, you know, them into your world. And if you don't have products yet or services yet, that's okay. But make it be about what you think you're going to have products and services about.
Yes.
And if you have products and services, it should somehow kind of connect to that in a way.
And, you know, something else to consider as well is you'll want to have more than one lead magnet. Start with one. That's the easiest one to get up, right? Is to start with one and have something to point people to. But you do a lot of things and you solve a lot of problems. So you want to have more than one lead magnet you can point to, right? I've got one on emails. I've got one on launches. I've got one on, as I said, on website conversions. So, you know, there's value in having more than one gift to give to people. And don't be afraid. Don't think, oh my gosh, I have to keep using this when it's not something you do anymore, right? You want to always be checking in on your marketing and making sure it still points to where you want people to go and a thing that you still do and offer, right? It's always good. So yeah, there's a lot of different things you can use as a lead magnet. Essentially, you want to give value. You want to solve a problem. You want to give the sense of a quick win. So any form of marketing you want to use to make that happen is a good option, as long as it matches your audience and matches you.
I love it. All right, before we hop off, one last thing I want you to go over is technology. So it is not necessary to do like a whole long funnel and everything else. If you're just getting started and you want to do your lead magnet. You and I both know that is the best way to do it, right? To have a landing page, then to make them go through the email sequence and everything else. But if you are just getting started and you don't have all of that set up, is there a way to do it?
Absolutely. So you have a couple of options. The option I usually point people to, because I believe building an email list is very important, is the tool I use. It's called ConvertKit. It is my email system, but they will let you build a landing page and deliver a PDF gift at the free tier. So you can get started up to 300 subscribers. You can have a landing page. You can change it a little bit to make it your own. And that will do one tool for the whole thing, right? And if you have Microsoft Word or if you have Open Office, you can literally type up a document. Even now, Google Docs will do it too. Type up a document, make it simple, right? It's not going to be super pretty, but it's something you can create. And then you just save it as a PDF. And suddenly you have a PDF to upload. So again, no special tools needed. Google Docs is free. ConvertKit is free. It has a free tier. So that's the very simplest way. Another thing you can do, right, if you don't have a system yet, or if you just want to see, okay, is there interest in this thing? Put it out on social media. Hey, I'm thinking of creating a gift or a guide or a video series or a mini course, whatever option you think is going to work for you, right? I'm thinking of putting together like the 5 best tips on X. Who wants it? And then if you get people who say, yes, I want that, then you go create it because you have people who said they want it. You create it and then you send it to them personally. You send it to them in Messenger. You send it to them via email, whichever way they would prefer. So that's
Yeah,
a great way to get
you don't
started.
absolutely have to do it in email. I agree with you. I think everybody should be creating their list, but sometimes it's faster and easier just to get them in your DMs. And if you are a coach or a consultant, which is mostly our audience, think of what your end game is. What is it that you want to do? You want to start a conversation. So in the DMs, you've started a conversation. So that's the fastest path right there, is just to get them into your DMs. So sometimes that's a little bit easier. From the DM, you could always send them an email, oh, you still want, the lead magnet, you could send it, have them give you their email or send them to a landing page, or you can just pop it on over to them through
Yes,
the
especially if
DM.
it's a PDF. You have the option in both Messenger and on LinkedIn to send files. So, reach out, post
But
something. Hey,
converse first.
converse first. Yes, always converse first, right? But it's a great way as well to, see if, especially if you're just getting started, you're completely brand new, and if you're really not sure about what you want to sell, asking or putting out into the world, hey, I'm thinking of creating something around this idea. Who wants it? And then if people say, yes, they want it, you don't create it until somebody says they want it. And then you can create it really quickly, as we said, right? Make it an email or make it a simple document on Google Docs and save it as a PDF. And then, great, I'll DM you. Start the conversation, move that conversation. And then if they still want the gift, obviously have the gift made. But if you still want the gift, right, after you start the conversation, then you can easily just upload it in the Messenger platform. You can add stuff like that. Now, if it's a video or a mini course, then you need to have it hosted somewhere, right? It's not as simple, but there are so many different
YouTube, private YouTube you could do.
right, but then you have to upload it to YouTube, right? So you do have to get it hosted somewhere.
Yes, true. All right, I love it. So there are very simple ways to do this. You can get as complicated as you want, as simple as you want, but no reason not to get started, especially if you get Kimberly's lead magnet guide. And we will put that link below this video. It is her lead magnet to get into her world. So thank you so much for joining us, Kimberly. Amazing information. And there is no excuse for anybody to not have a lead magnet after watching this. Any last words?
Oh, I want to say thank you so much, Erica, for having me on and chatting with me on one of my favorite topics. And, the best lead magnet is the one that you get out and get published. So get started now. Give yourself an hour and see what you can come up with.
I love it. All right. Have an amazing, amazing day. Let me